and welcome. This is a very special stream, and I already see some of like early arrivals arriving, including David Beck. He got his early message in, but you might hear some noise as you saw from my thumbnail. This is a double stream. We're going to be, today or tonight, we're going to be painting up the young castle Frankenstein foam miniature that we put together. And this is going to go into a cathedral window shadow box that we're building that also doubles up as a lightning detector. I'm Rachel DeBarros, and thanks for watching Gearhead Diva. So that's part one, okay? So part two is that this is also a puppy sitting stream. Yeah, so if you hear barking and playing and two miniature pony sounding things running around, that's my two dogs. One of them is a 4-month-old Saint Bernese mix. So that's Saint Bernard with a Bernese mountain dog. So she is like right here. So you're going to hear them walking around. They're probably going to be running in and out. And I may have to take a couple breaks from time to time to let somebody out. So hopefully we don't end up with accidents all over the shop. But she is doing really well. I think she might take a nap. It depends. But I am not the only one grading her. I expect all of you guys to give her a grade by the end of the stream to see how she does. And that explains a lot of my last minute streaming or not keeping a consistent day. It really depends on whether or not I can find someone to keep an eye on her while I'm in here. But we're testing her today, and we're going to see if she graduates. And then we can go back to streaming more regularly or on regular days. So L.A. Walker is here. David Beck is saying puppy. I'm going to see if I can drag her up here for you guys to see. And Brian Palmer's here. Hi, Rachel. Hi. We're about to get started with all this mess. And I know supporters and Wrench Army members have been following this from the beginning. And this is kind of like a large scale project. On this wall behind me, I want to build some kind of like Frankenstein inspired display. Specifically the Young Frankenstein movie, or Frankenstein is the way you pronounce it. So we started by building a lightning detector because I thought this is something that a lot of props just don't have, like a real deal lightning detector. So we all put it together, tested it. I was going to have the results display on this tiny little screen. And then some of you started commenting on how tiny this screen is. And the more I thought about it, I thought, man, an LCD screen kind of doesn't go with the classic monster movie steampunk look of anything. You know, it's too modern. So I decided to build a really nice cathedral window. This is a windowless garage, so it'll be kind of nice to have, you know, something like this that we already put together. It's already ready to host our scene. So this is like ready to go. We got a nice stone effect going. I might age it a little bit later. And, well, now we need some kind of scene to look out. Like, what, am I going to put it up and look at my own wall? I mean, that's not much of a window, right? As I struggle to put this back behind me. So what are we going to put in there? And that's when I polled you all to which monster movie house do you want in there? And the Young Frankenstein castle won by like a smidge. I mean, by 2 little neck bolts. That's all he won by, because the Munsters Mansion was a close second. So we're definitely going to have to do a Munsters project at some point after this one, because a lot of you guys mentioned that one, and I love the Munsters. So that's definite. So then step 2, I'm just kind of like catching everybody up on what we've been doing with this project. Step 2 is that we built a backing for it. You know, I need a scene to look out on. So we followed along a Bob Ross tutorial, and I only did the sky portion because we got other plans for down here. And of course, Bob Ross paints with oil painting, so he gets that seamless, melty melt, just creamy, delicious paintings, you know, happy little trees and little mountains. So of course you see here I have 2 clouds because, you know, it needs friends. You don't just do one cloud. And heck, I should have probably put more moons in there. Just one moon is not very happy, right? It's very lonely. So we have that nice backing scene, and now we need to build our foam miniature castle. And so how is the lightning detector portion of this gonna work? I thought it'd be very cool to have EL wire or some kind of cool light up LED. So whenever lightning is really present, like we have a storm rolling in, it starts to activate and tell you how far it is. Because our lightning detector works in kilometers, but I think I want to put in a conversion formula in there. And we can know if lightning's coming, get our creation ready, and perhaps have something come alive, right? I mean, every mad laboratory needs a lightning detector for that purpose. So what I've done here, and I'm gonna bring up our inspiration for all this, and then Robert McSween is saying, I miss watching Bob Ross. I know I love Bob Ross, but if you head on over to Twitch, he actually has a channel, or I guess his company or estate puts it on, and you can watch Bob Ross all day. I literally have that on play in the background all the time. So I've seen a lot of his paintings. But if we check out the castle that we're building, this is from the actual Young Frankenstein movie. So I pulled it from the Walt Disney Archives. And it turns out that it's pretty much the same castle that was used in the 1930s. I think the exact year was 1931, maybe, of the black and white Frankenstein movie, which the Young Frankenstein is also black and white, but newer black and white, on purpose black and white, than the actual one that had to be in black and white. So the castles are very similar, and in some promotional photos that you see for the Young Frankenstein, the castle is actually in reverse. That road that kind of comes off the right side there is actually on the left. So depending on what promotional poster you're looking at, that kind of flips. And one of the things I thought was cool about this castle is that it looks like it melds with the mountain there. It's almost like I am Borg. It's become assimilated into that mountain. So I wanted to come up with something similar. And I also like that little light on. So you know that that's Frankenstein's laboratory right there. The rest of the castle probably belongs to Frau Blucher because... No horses. All right, we're good. No horses. You got to be careful when you say her name. Oh, and David Beck is confirming. Yes, 1931 was the year of the first that very well-known black and white Frankenstein movie. So I love all of my old-timey classic monster movies. So now we've built it. We're definitely going to put lighting in it. We're going to start that next week. Some cool lighting scenes so we don't just have to sit there and like wait around for lightning to happen. You know, I want this thing to be active when I'm in here working. So we're going to make a normal everyday lighting scene, and then we're going to make a lightning, like when lightning is happening scene. But first things first, we need to paint this. So check out what I came up with. So let's see here what's going on. So remember how the cliff kind of melds with the castle? And you can see that I've already primed the castle, so it's ready for painting. And I'll kind of explain these two situations. So these two kind of look like they're already going into each other. But I think what I'm going to do is cut out little bricks. And let me give you guys a much better look here. There we go. Cut out little bricks that look like this and kind of pile them in so that way the transition is a lot more seamless. I think that'll look really cool. And this I already primed black, and this is kind of, I started priming it over here to kind of show you guys the differences in what I'm doing. I think because the mountain and our castle have a similar look. What are you chewing on? Oh, she is chewing on the electrical cord. Pardon me. Let me redirect that. Here you go. All right. So she is 4 months and 50 pounds right now. So we project that she's going to be about $130, like our other dog. So we got, you know, some 100-pound dogs going on. So now she is playing with her toy, and the electrical cable is not as interesting, which is good. You know, we're not ready for our first Frankenstein dog, Frankenweenie, just yet. All right, so hold off on that. Robert McSween, Robert McSween is saying, have you heard that Rob Zombie is redoing the Munsters with his twist on it? No, I did not. And thank you for telling me, because that is definitely on my to-watch list right now. Oh my gosh. It's like a new edition now because you mentioned that. I'm going to have to look that up. That's really exciting. So, all right, she's good. All right, just kicking her toy to her. It's going to be one of those streams. You know, there's lots of interruptions. So, in order to prep foam, we built this using nothing but dollar store foam core board. You know, like for school projects and stuff. So you can see all the little bits here that I cut out, and on this side you have your paper, you know, that holds it together, and on this side also had black paper. You can see some remnants over here that I peeled off, and you peel it off so that way you can make your nice stone effect that we did with pencils and things. You just kind of carve it in. And what I like about this foam board is, yeah, it's $1 each. So this castle costs $1 to build, not even, because I still have a ton of foam core board left. And then you just rip off that black side, and that allows you to do all of the details. And one of the things with foam that you have to be careful in painting it is most primers will melt foam. Yeah, check this out. So if you take a close look, and let me see if I can get even closer there, that foam has been eaten through. Yeah, it's totally eaten through. Now, on the one hand, it does kind of make a nice stone grainy effect. So you really have to be careful anytime that you pick a primer. Read the label, make sure that it is foam appropriate. So rather than take that risk, you take a ton of time in putting something like this together and spraying it. Instead, my favorite way to seal something like this before we get started is using either glue. Literally paint it with glue is great, but my favorite thing is this thing called ModPodge, and you can get it at any craft store. Not sponsored, I just use it so I can say what I want about you. So what I did was take 50-50 mix of ModPodge and just plain old black paint, because that doubles up. It kind of does your sealing for you, but it also adds your base coat. So you get all that with one coat, and like any painting project, you want to avoid putting coat after coat after coat because it starts to obliterate all of your details. Now I did the same thing here in white. Yes, priming this black, priming this white, and I'll get to that in a minute. And of course it needs another coat because it's kind of lavender up there. So yes, 50-50 mixture of white and our Mod Podge. Now with this, I want to do like a wet on wet acrylic painting. And that kind of gives it a slightly different look than if you were to do dry brushing, which is what we're going to do on this one. So both components are going to have similar colors, but the way they're painted is a little bit different. And that's going to have each component stand out, but not too starkly, so they kind of look like they meld as well. So that's the plan. We'll see if it works that way. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to put this one aside, and we're going to work on this later. And Robert McSween is saying ModPodge is great for sealing collages and pictures. Yes. I also made a cool dresser with comic book pages that I use this not only to glue it on, but to seal. So it's a glue and a seal at the same time. You can pick matte finishes. You can pick glossy finishes. This one happens to be gloss, although probably for something like this, matte probably would have been better, but you know, it's not much. And with this castle, let me give you guys a closer look here. I kind of made some artistic decisions here. So you can see this area is well put together. We're going to be filling in a lot of these little white specks with an ink wash anyways. And so this one's put together all nice. We're just going to assume that Frau Blucher lives in this area here because she's taking care of that castle. And then once you kind of merge over here, you can see some broken wood. And I don't know why I didn't paint over it. I should have. I don't know why I painted around the wood. We're going to be painting over it anyway, so I don't know why I didn't just put a base coat on that too. But you can see Dr. Frankenstein's tower is looking less than ideal. And if I flip it over, you can see see that there's a crack going down, and that's on purpose because I think it's going to be really cool once we put our lighting in here that's going to kind of peep through the building. And it's, of course, it's got its wooden or metal. We'll decide which way we want to go. So the only thing missing from this castle in order to complete it is the actual roofs. Like you'll notice it's got no roofs. So I have roof structures, and the roofs are so tiny that I think I'm going to paint them individually. I'm going to paint them separately and then put them on so they don't get damaged. And for the roofs, basically I like to take frozen food boxes. They have a great weight to them, and cut these little slits in them like this. And then you bend them and then put them around like shingles, you know, and you start, whoop, wrong way. You start from the bottom and you work your way up with different layers of shingles. But I think it's going to be really tough to get the paint all up in there. So I think that's something that I'm going to do separately after we lay all of our color on here. So let's get started. And David Beck is saying horse neighing. Yes, every time I say Frau Blucher. If it was Friday, we can make a drinking game out of it. But it's Monday. We all gotta wake up tomorrow. All right. So with our dry brushing, or we're also going to be doing a good deal of over brushing, let's see how we're going to do this. I want to do kind of like a rocky looking castle. So like browns, maybe a little bit of green mossy looks, something like that. So how are we going to accomplish that? Let me see what I got going on here. What are you working on? All right, paper. That's as good a thing to work on as any. Come here. All right, so I can barely get her up because she is like 50 pounds. So this is Ripley. And are you going to be good today? Because look, they're grading you there. They're grading you. And I don't know, if you don't have good behavior, you might get an F on your report card. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Yes, start tallying up the grades as to how she does. So let me put you back down and give you your little bone thing. All right, and we have a feline saboteur here. So feline plus dogs, they're all buds. They get along. But sometimes it can be kind of a carnival situation, running around. So I'm going to save the cameras if things go flying. But so far, all is quiet. So, what was I saying? We covered ModPodge, so I'm going to put that kind of out of the way before I spill it. And figuring out our castle. So, I think the first thing I'm going to do is overbrush it, meaning we're not going to brush with too much paint, but we're not going to brush with a little bit of paint, where it's like true dry brushing. So, it's medium brushing. Yeah, medium brushing. So I want to pick kind of like a medium brown, a medium tan, and I'm going through my colors here. Let's see what this one looks like. That one's kind of too yellow. That one's too dark. Let's see. This one is interesting. This one interests me. Does this one interest me? That's gold. Yeah, we're not going for a gold castle. Here's kind of a nice moss color. And those of you that have been with me streaming know that we don't really plan super in advance. I kind of just go for it live on stream, and it, most of the time goes well. Other times it starts to go like this, but oftentimes we do recover. So we've had some of those moments. Let's see, this one might work, and this one. So let me look at what this guy looks like right here. Bring him, and I'll also back us up just a little bit so I have a little more room for you guys. So this is also courtesy of the dollar store. I'm a huge fan. And I'm going to put this guy here. And this is raw sienna, and I'll make a list of all the colors I end up using so we know what works and what doesn't work. And there's a couple people saying Ripley is super cute. Yes, Robert McSween, L.A. Walker, David Beck. And Mr. Just DIY is here from Indiana. Welcome. We're going to do a little miniature painting here. We're going to see how this goes. So I definitely want to tan this up a little bit. So let me see what happens if... Oops, somebody's coughing. Because she's eating paper. One moment. That's gross. Be right back. All right. If you're just joining, it's going to be one of those streams. Up and down and up and down. But in the process, I found some really good brushes too. So I was wondering where my good stash went off to. So now I'm going to mix it, not with white, but I'm going to try this unbleached titanium, which is kind of a bone color. Prairie Strong says, Alberta says hi. Awesome. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of that, and let's see kind of what that looks like, if that pleases me. Yes. That's a little bit better. And to make it a true tan, I think I'm going to add a little bit. Oh, Robert, I almost started the Jeopardy theme. Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of that going on. So you missed the stream where we watched a whole bunch of glue dry. It was just holding little popsicle sticks together for the roofs. And most of the stream was like, yeah, it was one of those. So I always try and plan to leave kind of the fun parts, you know, for us to do while streaming. But it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes it just doesn't want to play nice. So I think that's kind of a nice earthy brown. And I pulled out a bunch of just like earthy colors to see what's going to work and what's not going to work. So now that that's there, we're going to Bob Ross our way through this. I'm going to move this guy here where you can see. And you pretty much know what's going on with this palette. So I'm going to put him here. And that's earthy enough. We'll see how that is. So I'm going to grab a flat brush. Let's see, something not too big, not too small. It's like the three bears. You have to find that perfect, let's see, because this is also a very tiny piece, you know, so we're not going in like this quite yet. So for dry brushing, I'm just going to take some paint, or I guess medium brushing. We're not quite doing dry brushing, but to be honest, because I'm chicken, I might go in dry brushing first, which is the step below what we're supposed to be doing. And for dry brushing, you want to just wipe off a lot of the paint on a napkin and then just go in and grab the highlights. Now, normally with overbrushing, you would you'd go in a lot stronger, but because me being chicken, all right, that wasn't too bad. I'm getting braver now. I'm gonna go for it. Okay. All right. That wasn't too scary. So you see that I'm beginning to highlight the rocks. And that's actually looking pretty nice. That's a fun part of the stream. It's like, will it work? I have no idea because it's not like I build a double. This is not a cooking show where the cake is already done and parts of the cake is already done, and then Rachel Ray or whatever just pulls this amazing looking cake, mix all the ingredients together, and then they'll say, yep, and then you just stick it in the oven and it's done. Oh no, I don't have an extra castle, so we're actually gonna watch this thing cook. Sometimes you just gotta watch the cake cook. And by painting a nice black base coat on the castle, we're going to start lightening it up, whereas the mountain or the cliff, because we're going to be, you know, starting with a white base coat, the strategy is the opposite. We're going to start making it look darker, but also making it look, ooh. Aren't that's a little bit much, guys, right there. Whoopsie. Got to yapping, and look what happened. Look what happened. And with these sticks, I think you guys decide. Do you think that these popsicle sticks that I broke up here, should they be pieces of wood holding up the castle? You know, like old castles sometimes have those wooden support beams, but oftentimes they're metal too, so we can do kind of a metallic look. I'm going to leave that design element and decision up to you guys. And Tech is saying it's a happy castle. Yes, it is. It's got several wings, so that way it's got friends. And I am just getting braver and braver with my highlights. I started pretty chicken, I am not gonna lie, and just went in kind of like, ooh, you know, but then comes a time where you just have to go for it. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm hearing chewing very clearly. Somebody is chewing on something. Ooh, I just overbrowned. I overbrowned right here. Oh well, I'm owning it. I'm owning the overbrown. It is what it is. Now I'm going to do the same to this kind of little watchtower here. And you can see I kind of continued the crumblingness of it. Whoa. And the watchtower also gets a crumbly top. I think last time we learned that top part is called a rampart. One of you wrote. Like you can tell how much I don't know my castle terminology. And then after this, we'll pick kind of a lighter shade to continue our highlights. Whoa, I just broke a piece off. Oh no, it's really crumbling now. It's like quite literally the crumbling castle. We don't even have to paint the crumbles on. It is legit coming apart. And I'm just gonna grab whatever it is she's got in her mouth right now because I hear it's not good. Doesn't sound good. Yep, that's my Dremel box. Oh yeah, see? That's my Dremel box. So anytime we do this, I always keep, let me move myself. I always keep tools that I might need accidentally, you know, during the stream on the floor, and I leave them all laid out, ready to go. And that's what she's going through. Now she's going through the other smaller Dremel. But that one is kind of broken. But yes, I warned y'all, it's gonna be one of those streams. Get up, sit back down. Get up, sit back down. So I'm trying to get in this little area here, and it looks like a dark black abyss here with our brown. And the castle is so, you know, it's a miniature. But when you paint it, you're like, there's so much castle. There's so many like little bits. All right, so now we have some nice, I would say medium tan highlights going on all over the castle. So you can see the bricks are now beginning to stand out. And bricks, stones, you know, whatever these may be, they're now beginning to kind of have some character and say, hey, I'm here, instead of being completely obliterated by the black where you can't really see what's going on. And so I'm going to continue just building up this color. And I think what I'm going to do is stop here and continue, see if we like where this color scheme is going, continue on to the next step before we do the whole castle. You know, that way we have time to change, and especially since this part of the castle transitions into a nicer looking castle, we have time to, you know, come up with a different color scheme if this ends up not working, you know, in the next step. But I have high hopes. I think we'll do okay. And each little window has like a little little window frame that I made for it. And don't ask me how I even got up in here, because it was with like little tweezers trying to get those things on. And when paint goes on wet, it looks really bright, you know, so sometimes you scare yourself a little bit, and then as it dries, it actually starts to dry more dark. So that's why sometimes I like to go back over it a little bit, just to kind of bring that color back out. And there goes my my shop vac. Yeah, so my shop vac is the latest and greatest chew toy right now. All right, so I'm just going to unchew toy that, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna put you guys on a brief intermission. All right, so I rearranged her. Hopefully she's gonna be busy now, but yeah, it's gonna be one of those streams. We're just gonna have a lot of stop and start going on. But let's see here. And then Robert McSween is saying you could also do forest black for areas of moss. I remember forest black. So with forest black, what collection is that? Is that Citadel paints? Back in the day, the way I started painting miniatures was painting Warhammer miniatures. So every night painting me my Warhammer miniatures, and some people would, you know, they don't want to have to paint like 50, you know, of the guys. So we would divide the work, and I would get paid a certain amount per miniature. Oh yeah, that was like my whole college thing, is making money painting miniatures. So any of you guys that paint miniatures, heck yeah, go ahead and put in some of your tips. I always like to learn new tricks. All right, so I think we have like a nice browning, browning of the castle. And I'm gonna go with a lighter color now. So maybe something like the raw sienna that we started with. And that looks like something like that. And let's see here. Do I have... Actually, not that. We're going to use some yellow ochre. Or no. Changing my mind. I'm just changing my mind constantly. I'm going to add in some of that titanium white, but it's the bone version of it. And let me wipe off my spatula here. And I'm going to mix these two together here. And someone's digging up something. I don't know, something's getting dug up. So that gives us kind of more of a medium, or I guess a lighter tan. So I'm going to do a quick dry brush of this guy right here, just to kind of lighten up this castle. It's still a little dark. So I'm using the same brush without really cleaning it or anything like that. So that's much better. I'm just gonna do a quick overbrush with this color. And that's already improved things much nicer. See how we can actually see the rocks a little bit better here, or the bricks or stone. And we'll get to those toothpicks or popsicle sticks in a bit here. Just gonna lighten this up. Got a little too dark. There we go, much better. Now it looks like it's more three-dimensional. The brown was a good start, but this tanny tan, we'll call it a popsicle stick tan because that's what it looks like. And we have inhaxed. My dog has to dig a nest in the duna every night. In the duna. I don't know what a duna is. My dog likes to dig the comforter. Like, what's down there? I don't know. Yeah, Tex Tech is also asking, Duna? I don't know what a Duna is. Please explain yourself. What is a Duna? Okay, so Castle Frankenstein is looking much, much better. This was the tan that honestly, I probably should have started out with this tan, but I was chicken. I'm not gonna lie, I was chicken. And I wanted to start with a darker color just to kind of get my feet wet. And now this is looking pretty good. So we're over brushing a little bit. So it's not exactly dry brushing. It's a little heavier than dry brushing, but not like for real painting, if that makes sense. We're not for real painting. All right, so I'm trying to get this crevice looking pretty good here. And I'm really liking the way this is turning out. This is quite fortuitous. Sometimes the projects, we gotta save them. They end up looking not so great in the beginning. But this one's working with us. It's working. It's being good. It might get a higher grade than Ripley. What are you stirring? Oh, and she's gone for the electrical cords again. Which means I'll be back, people. I'll be back. All right, no, she did. It turns out I actually wrongfully accused her. That was just my glue. All right. I was about to wrongfully accuse you. You know how I am. Ooh. Oh, people. Let me kind of fix that. And then when she bugs the other dog and he's in sleep mode, he like does these little growls at her. Oh, too aggressive. I'm getting a little too brave. I'm gonna learn my lesson soon when I blop on a giant piece of paint. Oh, that's my wood glue. Probably not a good idea. All right, I'm back. I'm gonna disappear and I'm gonna come back and materialize over and over again. Usually, she's not in here for obvious reasons. So she's just like, this is so cool. There's so many things. Like the rubber parts of tool handles that I can chew on. So everything is put away, luckily, minus the stuff I need. Which she is nicely exploring right now, all over the floor. And that whole idea of maybe she'll sleep ain't quite working. And I know it's kind of tough for you guys to see this castle right here. The only, ooh, went a little too strong there. The only difficulty is doing part of the castle and then trying to match up the other part of the castle is that I'm going to have to remember what I mixed together, you know? The colors and trying to get them to match. And that's the other dog. You probably hear something. Or maybe it's a delivery. But that's nice because it kind of gets them out of here. All right, so we have this half of the castle done, and I'm pretty happy with how it's looking right now. I think it's looking pretty good. So, oh, and Ax is saying, I think nearly all my screwdrivers have dog tooth marks on it. Yes. Well, you know, you have little, you know, shop helpers. They like to come in and do their thing. So I think what I'm going to do is keep these colors here just so I kind of like remember what I did and try and match them up, even if they dry, on the other side of the castle. Although once I do my ink wash, that's going to be problematic. So I should probably just douse the rest of the castle, whether I want to or not, or like this color scheme or not, now that I know what I'm doing. Let's see what happens when I skip this color and go right for kind of this lighter tan. Let's see. That looks nice, but I think I like this kind of brown undercoating. When it went on first, it looked pretty good. Rachel is an artist and can tune your carburetor too. That is, well, I don't know about the artist part, but the carburetor. I had to do my 1951 Ford F1 carburetor not too long ago. And just turning the screws, trying to get everything right, and rebuild the entire car. Oh, that takes quite some time. As I soon found out with my 73 CUDA, I took it completely apart and started putting in new floor patches, you know, all that. And boy, then I started to travel, and it just, you know, unfortunately, like a lot of projects, it sits for a bit, you know, until you can come back to it. And you know how it is, they don't like to pay rent. So they sit around eating up a whole bunch of space. So hopefully I can get back to it pretty soon here. But Castle Frankenstein has been calling my name. And it's not something I can do in here, unfortunately. This is I mean, you can't even really call it a one-car garage. A one-car garage is being very generous, a way of putting it. Let me grab another paper towel, because this brush is a little wet, so the brown isn't going on all that great. It's going on kind of mushy, rather than kind of a nice dry coating. Yes, can I help you, Miss Thang? She's at my feet. You bored? I know you're bored, because the attention isn't like super on you. Guys, you might start falling asleep. I spoke too soon. Every time. I'm gonna try and hit up these very fragile little decorations that I put on. Let's see, I'm gonna try and hold it with my hand while I hit it. And I use toothpicks to create the spikes, and I'm thinking of like maybe making them metal, you know, once we're done here with this base coating over the black. this poor napkin beside me. Oh, although that's probably not bad going that dark. Yeah, I should have been doing that all along. Now these windows didn't get the nice little frames because they're kind of seen better days. And I know this is the Frau Blucher section of the castle, you know, so it's typically better maintained. But she's got her hands full having to deal with Dr. Frankenstein and his, you know, creations going on here. And let me just back this up a little bit because I see I keep running out. Whoa, whoa, wrong way, wrong way. There we go. There we go. Now we can see in all its glory what's going on here with this browning of the castle. It's the browning. And I still am having my chicken moments where I'm just not going as, whoa, as dark as I should, or I guess it would be as light as I should, because going dark is not enough paint. So I need to go a little heavier and a little bit with tenacity, people. Quit being chicken. Quit being chicken. And on our foam, you can still see some little white bits where the paint, the black, didn't quite make it into all the crevices. Those I am not super worried about, only because, you know, we're going to do an ink wash as the last step. And all that's pretty much is going to be taken care of. It's going to fill in all those weird little white areas that I wasn't able to fill. And you can probably hear meowing cats. They talk to each other. Ripley talks to the cats, so it's quite cute. All right, I'm going to try and hit up this little tower here, and hopefully I don't have to really mix up more paint, because one of the worst things is having to match up paint that you've already mixed with paint that you previously mixed. Oh no, David Beck is starting up with the Hungry Man chickens moments. Yep. Oh my gosh. So when we were making roofs, I like to steal, you know, the frozen food boxes, you know, and then I put everything else in Ziploc baggies. And it just reminded, we got into this whole talk about TV dinners. And my favorite was the Hungry Man fried chicken and mashed potatoes. That was it. The Hungry Man fried chicken and mashed potatoes. Oh, guys, let me tell you. And listen, no knocking on my mom or anything. She was a fine cook. But I always looked forward to Hungry Man night and TV dinner night. And we even had those little, ooh, what's going on here? We even had those little pull-up tables, you know, that you put right next to the couch or the recliner. And man, you chow down on your Hungry Man, watching your favorite movie. Listen, those were the times. Like, I don't know if TV dinners are still a thing, but if they're not, kids these days are missing something quite amazing. An amazing experience. So yes, I used to love TV dinner nights. All right, moving on to this there's a huge difference now between the castle. You can see here it's much lighter, medium, and then totally dark. So we are going to put some light on that castle. And I may have to stand up for this one because I don't think I can see what's going on here. And let's see. Oh, Valley of Fire. Hello, I'm late. What did I miss? Yeah, you're doing Frankenstein. I love it. Yeah, so we are painting a cool young Frankenstein from the Young Frankenstein movie, Castle Miniature. And we're going to put it in a cathedral window that's a shadow box. And the backing panel where this will be glued onto, we're going to do some kind of cool lightning scene because it's going to be hooked up to a real deal lightning detector. And if I hear a bell, then I know that means that Ripley needs to go out. So I'll have to take a quick breather. Hear that, guys? That's her. I need to go make a number one or maybe a number two. So I'm going to leave this here and put you guys on a quick intermission. I'll be right back just to relieve her. And we're going to wrap up that portion of the castle. So I'll be right back. So we've taught Ripley to ring her little bell chain anytime that she needs to go out. So I have the house door open here, so hence why you hear the dogs, the cats, and now she's coming back in here, just so I can listen out for that doorbell. Or not the doorbell, but her little door chain that we have tied on the door. So I don't know what other methods you guys have used. This is a method that's always been successful with my past puppies. So I just keep doing it. I actually got the idea from a dog sitter. You know, she said, try this. And it's been great. Some dogs pick it up faster than others. I had a puppy in the past that really didn't pick it up. I mean, he was awesome, but didn't have much going on upstairs. You know, sometimes you get one of those dogs that they're very lovable and they're awesome and amazing, but not too much going on up here. So you have to be consistent and repetitive, but they all eventually get it. And I'm just watching her, making sure she's not getting into anything she shouldn't be getting into. But I figured, you know what? I figured I'd start to stream and see how she does and try and get back on a better schedule if she allows it. It's definitely easier when you have someone that can just kind of keep an eye on her. So you guys hear that? What the heck does she have? Oh, she took my template. That's fine. I don't need it anymore. It's my castle template. She can destroy that. All she wanted, it was a template that we used to cut out all these little bits and pieces for our castle here. And we tried following kind of the artistic design they had. I had to make a few changes only because if I were to build the castle true to form, then the castle would have jutted out really far. And I don't want like a 2-foot shadow box. I mean, that's just too much. So I decided to trim the castle, change some of the layout a little bit so that way the castle would lay more flat. And that would solve a lot of my dimension problems or, you know, having this thing jut out way too much. All right, we're on the final stretch, I believe. I'm doing this little guy here, and he's super delicate. Oh, look at those little crosses that I put. They're tiny. Let's see if I can hit them. Whoa, without ripping them off. And even that window got a tiny little frame around it. I have no idea how I mentioned her or how I managed that. And we are almost out of this brown. Can I stretch it out, folks? Hopefully I don't have to mix a whole other batch. I'll just stretch it, because it's tough to have to match things up. Oh, I don't know, guys. I may not be able to stretch it. I have to mix up another batch. Maybe I'll just paint with more fervor, a little harder, pressing down harder to milk that paint. And then we're gonna go in with our lighter color. And let's see if I can highlight these little arches that I made to go around the arches, like a little border. So each one of them has something kind of interesting. And of course, this section gets buried into the mountain. It becomes assimilated and borgs up with the mountain. So that's pretty good there. Let me make sure I got the top portion. And no, I didn't. Look, that is all not dusted. So let me dust that up. Guys, I think we did it. I think we browned the castle. It has undergone the browning without me having to mix up another batch. Oh, that is awesome. So now we're going to go back and go in with that lighter coat. And I still have some here. hopefully, well, I don't think it'll be enough, but we can start with it and see how far we get. And this is the biggest part of this whole painting, is getting these colors down our base coat here. Our overbrushed base coat, I should say. And these portions right here are really tough to get. They're not going to be super detailed, but then we'll try and mix up a little bit of this tanny tan brown. Here, we're going to highlight our little border here. And then we're going to go in and do some individual stonework, I think. I'm going to support, oh, that's a lot. Support our little crosses up here. Steeples or finials, however they're called. And I'm still going in with a pretty heavy overbrush just to lighten the castle up a little bit. Yes, it's looming and all that, but we don't want it to be too, lose all the detail. You know, by the time you put it in the cathedral window, it's gonna blend in with that night sky. So we want it to look like it belongs to the night sky, but not be completely just get lost, you know, in that dark background. So a little pop is what we're going for. A little pop. And I think we'll get it. And I like to paint kind of in this downward position, because as the rain comes down, it, you know, comes from top to bottom. And so you get a lot of the wearing in that way. So I'm kind of mimicking what the rain would do. All right, so that's looking a lot better. And now we're going to try and get in here again. This tiny little crevice area, which I'm not going too nuts on, only because by the time the castle is in place, this area here will be barely visible. So trying to concentrate on the areas that I think are going to be visible. Now the worst is like when you think it's not going to be visible and then it's totally visible and you're like, no, I should have painted it better. So, oh, this little tower here is the worst because it keeps wanting to hit all of those little crosses I have. And she's disappearing off to somewhere. But thanks guys for kind of bearing with me with this whole puppy situation. Because I was like, oh, I was excited to paint this castle. And I'm like, I don't want to cancel or try and find another day. Let's keep going, right? So Valley of Fire is saying, sounds like fun. Can't wait to see it finished. I know, me too. I think this is going to be very cool. So I'm really looking forward to it. And especially once we get the lightning bolt working in conjunction with everything, then I think we're going to have some cool things to look at. Plus, it'll be a nice piece to have in the garage where I have no windows anyways. So it's something nice to kind of look at. And it's like I have a window. So I'm going to wrap up my overbrushing here. We're almost done. And guys, remember I talked a big game. Oh, guys, we don't got enough. We just don't got enough of this paint. Well, looks like we might be okay. Oh, we're going to almost be okay. I spoke too soon. I think that was the last of it. And we still have this little guy to go. Can it stretch? Can it stretch? I'm pressing down really hard. Oh, except I don't want to get this poor little guy here. And I'm not too worried about that black, only because that's going to be covered by roof once we put the roof on. So I'm not going too crazy on, ooh, it's a bit much. It's a bit much, people. All right, but I think we're pretty good. Heck, I talked a big game like, oh, we don't got enough. Tragedy. But no, we're pretty good. All right. So I think that we are, oh no, this tower up here, guys. Can it make it? Drag that paint out. Oh, that's really nice. Now you can really see the little stonework there. The darker brown was nice, but you know, you couldn't really tell what the heck was going on. And we rolled a ball of aluminum foil, crunched up aluminum foil over this. And that's how we got kind of the cool stone texture going on. And what works really well too is a wire brush. If you just stab it with the wire brush, you get some nice textures as well. So guys, I think we did it. That's looking good. I mean, this already looks good as is, you know. And again, all of your guys' opinion as to whether we should keep these support beams wood or if we should do them metal. So post in the comments which one we should do. And David is asking, is everybody on Discord? Yes. So any members, including David, if you are on Discord or if you're a member, head on over to Discord because you can post pictures and things like that. So I'm not sure that my chat aggregator will show images, but it does collect from Discord supposedly as well. So definitely hop on Discord. I see people become members and then it's like, go to Discord. You know, that's kind of where we discuss ideas of what to do in the future, future projects, what direction these projects should go. In the middle, sometimes we start a project and it ends up being something completely different by the time we're done. And all that has to do with you guys. You guys decide. I'm just seeing which one I used for the brush. You guys decide the direction of these projects. That's really, you know, the projects are here for you. Brian Palmer saying it looks great. Tex Tech, are you still playing the violin, Rachel? Love your see you again. Yes, so I am still playing the violin. I think I have one other cover on YouTube. You might have to dig for it, but it's a Kiss cover. And someone's eating another box over there, but that's okay. That's a non-important box. She can have that one. So yes, I'm still playing the violin, and you know, it might be time to put out another cover. So post in the comments what those are. But getting back to David's point about Discord, I think what I'm going to do is just shoot a quick tutorial, not live or anything, about how to get there. Because I think what's happening is people become members and then there's like a blockage. They don't know like the next step on how to get to Discord. So depending on how you sign up, Patreon, through the website, or even through YouTube, there's a join button and you'll see that there's 2 tiers. So you get, you know, more perks, more live streams, more stuff, and we do have a Wrench Army exclusive coming up next week where we're going to build something super cool for this, which will enhance our lighting for it. So I've been yapping while this thing has been drying just a little bit before we move on to the next step, which is picking out a couple of these stones and start highlighting them. So let's see, where did my yellow ochre go? Oh, it's this big one right here in my face. So I'm going to separate out yellow ochre, and I'm going to separate out, not red oxide, not that one, maybe burnt sienna. Yeah, we'll start with that and see how it does. So I'm going to do, let's see, how dry are some of these? I'm running out of little pads. Heck, I could just go get another one from the dollar store. It's $1, so I think we're okay. So what I'm gonna do is have some of this, which is burnt sienna on there. Then I'm going to have yellow ochre. Kind of will just, and this is a new one. Oh, and she's chewing my ladder. I'm going to redirect her in a moment here, but I'll set up the paints for you guys to see. So this is yellow ochre, and we want to kind of keep them apart. Then here we're going to mix equal parts yellow ochre and also a burnt sienna. that way we get 3 different kind of stone colors. That's kind of half and half, right? Yeah, I think so. Let me show you guys. You're like, I don't know, we can't see. So that's kind of like what I got going on there. And let's see. Oh, thunder sounds, Brian is asking. I was actually thinking about that, like when the lightning bolt goes off, if we should have thunder sounds going on with it. And I was like, oh, it's so tempting. So I haven't 100% decided. So post up in the comments, people, as to whether you think we should do some thunder sounds, and maybe I can find something, some module to hook up. And I think that might be pretty cool too. And the other thing we're going to add is, you saw that I painted clouds. I painted the moon, which I'm still debating should have a friend moon, you know, if we're going to be true Bob Ross. But I have clouds there, and I also want to take some cotton clouds that, you know, we wisp really well and add like 3D cloud effects to this. And we can put LED lights behind them so they blink on and off really quick like you would see in a thunderstorm. So I'm going to take a quick break and just kind of redirect what she's doing, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So let's see what we're doing here. I'm going to go with a smaller brush now. Let's see what I got going on. Maybe this little guy right here. I'm going to go with this smaller one here, like brick sized. And I'm going to move the castle into place. Ooh, right there. And I'll kind of keep him over here. So yeah, this is kind of like a little brick sized brush. So I'm just going to paint some random rocks or bricks, and it's going to look pretty bad, you know, at first. So Tex Tech is saying yes. So he's, David Beck, Thunderstruck for a new cover. That's a good one, and very well themed with what we got going on. So that'll be good. So what I'm doing is, with our yellow ochre, I'm just picking out some random rocks here, or stones, and painting them. And I don't want like any rhyme or reason to this. This is just kind of, here's one here. Anyone who calls my attention, you know, like this guy, you know, looking at me funny, you get a yellow ochre on you. And we're going to do this with all 3 colors. And because this one is mixed both, well, it kind of creates a nice, you know, gradient, I guess, from yellow to a brownie. It's like a reddish brown, because rocks, they're just not gray. You know, it's very easy to just kind of start painting black and then gray and then different gray tones. And what ends up happening is that your piece looks very flat. It looks very gray, which, yes, I get it. Yes, castles are gray and stones are gray and all that. And so they should be gray, but rocks are just never just gray. So it's nice to be able to find a couple colors that are earthy tones and just kind of add them a little bit. So I'm just being super random. She's chewing her favorite tire toy. And I'm going to pick a couple of these guys here too. You know, they got hit by some weathering here. And Castle Frankenstein has seen better days. I mean, Frau Blucher, she really tries, bless her heart. But it's tough to really keep up with a mad scientist. Besides, he's got his creations. Some of them are not so good. I can imagine that they rampage through the castle, just ruining things right after she cleaned up. And it's like, oh man, you know, knock it off. And we have Gordor from Brazil. So he's saying, it's looking really nice, my castle. Awesome, thank you. So you guys might see a couple messages in Portuguese. My family is from Brazil, so I speak both languages. So it's nice to see some brasileiros aqui me assistindo. Some Brazilians watching me. It's awesome. All right, I'm just hitting up some of the yellow ochre again where I had already painted, because as it dries a little dark. So I'm getting brave now, people. I am getting brave. Whoa, too brave. Back off on the bravery a little bit. Back off. There we go. And that's looking pretty random. And then I'm gonna start doing this. We'll move on to, that's gonna be tough to get into. But I think I'm gonna avoid some of the sides because you're not gonna really be able to see them anyways. David Beck is saying maybe use an old subwoofer. See what I did? Oh yeah, with the little dog. Very true. True dat. All right, guys. So these little things here, wood or metal beams? Let's see your commentary on that. I'm still deciding. I do have some silvers and golds and stuff, and we can mix and make it look kind of coppery, or we can do like a wood effect on that. Because this castle, once we're done with it, is going to start to look a lot lighter. So that wood beam, if we decide to go with wood, should stand out. All right. Some yellow. And that's kind of, you can already see the stones are looking different. It's beginning to look more like aged growth on it. I'm going to move on to here. Pick a couple stones randomly. Sometimes close together, you know, because they're buddies. Other times really far apart. So then after this, we're going to be finishing up the cliff. And I believe that's on Wednesday. That's for this Wednesday. And then after that, we glue the castle onto the backing and figure out, you know, all the rest of this stuff. We're going to figure out how to how to get the, well, we already have the lightning thing figured out. The detector actually works, but we want to create our other scenes. So that'll be the next fun step, because that's where we can see, well, if the lightning isn't going off, what do we want this thing to look like during the day? And it is a night scene painted on there, but maybe we can have different shades of blue LEDs that come on to kind of indicate the mood of the day. Maybe it can randomly change colors. All right, so we got plenty of yellow going on there. And now I'm going to flip this over. This is kind of the cool part of the castle. And put a couple yellows going on here. Ooh, that's a little strong. And, oh, someone is chewing the butt-kicking machine. That is a no-no. I'll be back. All right, we are back. So those of you that are new and haven't seen a couple projects previous, we actually did make a New Year, New You butt-kicking machine. Yeah. So I've actually had a lot of fun playing around with that thing and shooting some videos. So I'm going to put together kind of a funny video of all of its use that it's gotten, both with me and with some of the pets. Obviously, with the pets, you know, we use minimum pressure. There's really nothing going on that way. But we learned it's got some punch, you know, so you got to be careful with that. We found that 10 psi was the magic number for operating the butt-kicking machine. Yes, can I help you? She's like, this is boring. Can we do something with me now? She's like, your castle is lame. Oh, you guys probably saw her her little shadow there. So she's headed into the kitchen, probably trying to find the other dog, and she's gonna pester him now for a bit. All right, we are yellow ochreing it up. Yellow ochre? However it's pronounced. But I want to get just enough pieces such that it is interesting enough. And the other thing that it does is that it starts to also continue to lighten the castle a little bit. And we're going to do a very light brushing of kind of a bone color, and that should kind of blend everything together. So Brian is saying they would more than likely be wood in an old castle. I think so. Oh, Tech, and then Farticus. Yes, Farticus, the fart detector. So yes, there was that project. So if any of you guys are new, definitely check out that project as well. That was another electronics project where we turned a stuffed animal, or my dog's favorite stuffed animal, because I figured, I had strong suspicions it was him letting out some, some prime gases. And so in order to catch him, I took one of his favorite stuffed animals and turned it into a fart detector. Yeah. It had a twitching nose, LED eyes that would turn different colors depending on how bad it was, if you needed to crack open a window, or if you're working with something that was more military grade, you have time to run, So that was a pretty fun project. All right. And that's looking pretty good, guys. I don't know. I had some worries. I didn't really know exactly what direction I wanted to go with this. I figured I'd start painting some earthy tones and just see how it went, So that's looking pretty good. And where am I? If you eat those tissues, you're gonna be all unhappy about it pretty soon here. Then she spits them out, and they're all gummed up, and you got to pick them up after them being all gummed up. Oh, I got to do this little guy here. The tiny bricks are always the toughest, so I just kind of hit them just a little bit like that, just to give hints. And I'll make this guy and this guy up here. I'm just going to blob on. Ooh. I'm gonna try and wipe it with my hand when you make a mistake. There. So we have our aging going on. And that's pretty good there. That rock's a little bit yellow. He's rocking out with his yellow self. But we'll take care of him. He's a yellow chicken like I was. Getting started with this project. I'm just gonna go down and basically pick where I have access to, because some of this is flying brush. Flying brush. It starts painting what you don't want it to paint. All right, so we have a couple here. Now I'm going to move on to, I guess, this guy right here. Pick a couple stems. You look like you need yellow. A little bit of sunshine on you. And these rocks are a little bit different. Kind of purposely didn't make them, the typical bricks. They're more like the kind you see in Italian restaurants, those big faux stone walls. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Now I'm just gonna pick a couple random spots there, and then we have this guy. Then we have this facade, which I turned on purpose this way, so that way our piece wouldn't be so fat, meaning we'd have to build a big old what's the word I'm looking for? Shadow box. We would have to build a big old shadow box for it otherwise. And we pick a couple more up here. Then we'll be done with our yellow ochre. And for such a tiny castle, sure is a whole heck of a lot of painting. You know, you just don't expect it. You think, oh, this project is tiny. I mean, look at this miniature. It's not like the tabletop gaming ones where, you know, you make them a little bit bigger so your characters can play inside. Nope. This one is a bit bigger. So that is looking pretty good. And now I'm going to move on to this mixture here. We'll do this medium mixture. Oh, and there goes the electrical. Come on. There you go. All right. Sometimes I just don't have time to put us in an intermission. I gotta like jump on it. That was a delicious electrical cord she was going for. Mmm, tasty. All right, so now I'm going to go in with this kind of medium color. And it might look a little strong at first, but we'll tone it down in one of our final steps. We'll tone it down. And let's see. You look suspicious. 1 sec. Hopefully I got her interested in something else. All right, where were we? We were medium browning everything. Medium brown. Let's see if I can give you guys, whoa, a little bit of a closer look. So the yellow ochre looks almost like a moss type of color. Y'all hear that, right? She's angry that I moved her. She's like, no. I was enjoying chewing on all the stuff. Your tools. They're tasty. Mmm. Delicious. And she's like, you're so lame. You just don't let me have any fun. I know, I am like the lamest. Lame. All right. I can be super lame. I don't know about you guys, if your pets have favorites, you know, you or some other household member. But usually through the puppyhood, I am definitely not the favorite. But they're the ones that they always come to when something is wrong. I'm feeling sick, or there's a thunderstorm outside. All of a sudden, you're number one in their lives again. They kind of forget. So, let's see here. Yes, David Beck is giving, I think David Beck is actually being quite kind. A C- in cord chewing. I'm going to judge way more harshly than that. So I put her with the other dog, so she should annoy him for a while. Actually, he loves her, loves to play with her, and they, you know, get along great. But sometimes he wants to take a nap, and she doesn't, you know, and that's problematic. All right. So this castle's already getting lighter in color too, which is, I'm liking that. It was getting a little bit dark there. But with our lighter brown that we overbrushed, it kind of solved a lot of the issues there. And I think that's enough there. It's kind of tough to see. And I'm making my way over here, and then we're gonna make our way over here. But not bad. I think this will do as a lightning detecting castle, or it will receive the lightning, I guess, onto the tower. And I think I'm gonna make it, of course the lightning has to go onto Frankenstein's tower. I mean, what other portion of the castle would it go? So we'll definitely make it that way. And I think it's going to be a challenging figuring out the EL wire and bending it such that it looks like, you know, as close to lightning as possible. That'll be kind of interesting. Because I thought about making an LED line, but the little individual LEDs kind of, you know, they kind of give away the fact that they're LEDs. It's tough to get a continuous looking line. So I think that going with EL wires probably the way to go for the lightning portion. And then for the thundercloud portion, well, that's definitely going to be our flashing LEDs. And that'll give us a nice scene. And then for our Wrench Army exclusive stream, we are going to be building a mini fog machine. The tiny, tiny fog machine that will fit in this tower and will just eventually spew out mist from time to time. Because you know, Dr. Frankenstein's projects, not all of them are winners. Like, we know that. Like, not all of them are going to be winners. And so sometimes there could be something that goes wrong and mist just comes out of the tower, and it'll be cool to have this crack here because the mist will come out of the crack as well. So it'll be kind of a neat, like, something's going on in that castle, you know? So I look forward to that, figuring that out. And we're going to figure that out live together and see if we can get a tiny, tiny mister. So that is not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. I'll be updating the schedule. And I'm also going to be making a Discord tutorial, because that's one thing that I've noticed is that I think there's like just a handful of you guys and a lot that lurk, you know, and don't post. So don't be afraid, you know, we have a good time on there. Maybe we should do a live project planning Discord, you know, and just have the Discord on screen and just post pictures and go back and forth on future projects. Or there's still a ton to go with this project, and we can just discuss it in real time live. I think that would be pretty fun. Where am I? All right, so we have all this done, and now we are going to move on to this final portion here. And and you guys totally can't see this, I know, because it's a very bizarre, you know, angle, you know, this tiny little thing here. And now I'm going to put a couple of this red, or I guess the sienna, or this is the mixture of our yellow ochre and our brown. Oh, somebody is tapping the chain, the bell chain. So I'm going to have to go and let her out. Let me see if I can finish this thing real quick. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it in. Hold that in until I finish this little tower. So I'll be putting you guys on an intermission, and I will be coming back after I give her a chance to make her business. I'll be right back. I'm back. It's just going to be one of those streams over and over. But there's another trick that I learned with puppies in that you kind of put something out that you don't care that it gets destroyed, but you kind of act like you do. So I call them bait boxes. And it's just a cardboard box, and you put it out and you act like you really like this cardboard box. And it would be such a shame if anything happened to this cardboard box. So I hear her going to town on it right now, and that is my bait box trick. And she is falling for it hook, line, and sinker. So I don't feel bad. And let's see, you will be my victim. And you. Who's going to be like my mixture victim? And that's it, guys. We are rocking through this. Doesn't always feel like it, but we are. Let me pick a couple here. It's just going to add our dimension. It looks a little zebra, I know. I hope to fix it. Let's see if I can get these little crosses without bending them. So I think we're good. We have a couple of each kind of randomly spread out, and now I'm going to move to the final. This is a little bit darker. This is going to be our darkest rocks. This color right here, which is this one, burnt sienna. And we're going to pick just a few rocks. Wow, they're already picked clean. And I actually like the way this looks without the burnt sienna. I think I'm gonna pause while I'm ahead, right guys? Pause while I'm ahead. Because I do want to add a little bit of like a moss color. Now I'm not using real model painting colors. These are just, basic tubes of acrylic paint. So with model painting colors, things are pretty much mixed perfectly, like browns that are very reminiscent of wood, moss colors, all that. With the acrylics, we got to do, a little bit more mixing. But this is nice because we can get more variation, and I can use this stuff for other projects. So let's see what this, yikes. That is looking a little bit green. I mean, I know I said I wanted green, but that's like, it's a little limey. Let's see if we can add something to it. Like either a raw sienna or maybe a raw umber. Let's see, that might be too dark. And this, whoa, that's too brown. Too brown. I'm just gonna do that, literally just a tiny bit to see if I can bring that green into a more earthy tone. And I'm gonna use this little mini mixer right here. And then I might add some of the bone just to kind of break it up just a little bit. Although this color, if dry brush, might look kind of neat, come to think of it. And let me grab a little bit of this bone and see. Now I'm mixing kind of no rhyme or reason. I'm not a perfect color mixer. There we go, much easier. Sometimes you go in with the finger painting, much easier that way. Let's gather you and put you in here. That might give us, just break up this green a tiny bit. All right, guys, I'm going for it. Let's see what this green looks like. I'm just going to thin it out a little here. And I didn't clean my brush or anything because it kind of gives you nice mixtures of all the colors. All right, I'm gonna go in some of the corners there where normally you would see kind of moss building up. here. The green is a little bright, but I think we can blend it. It's blendable, people. Whoa, not when you do that. It's blendable. We hope it's blendable. Just a few hints of green here and there. I don't want to go too nutty with this color. And I'm actually more dry brushing this one more than anything else. And see what happens. I don't know that we can really even see a difference yet. But I do want to use this a bit sparingly, but it is nice. It does add kind of a nice touch. There we go. It's just little hints. I'm not trying to make it like too visible. If it's too visible, then you know you've gone too far with it. All right. And we kind of got that going on. I'll do a couple areas here of the moss, especially towards the bottom where moss tends to accumulate, and below some of these little arches here where you would normally see moss. And a couple touches here. Picking just a couple stones, and we'll do a decent amount of moss down here. And I'm also going to be adding the real moss. Well, not real, miniature moss. You know, once we get all this dry and all that kind of stuff, as a final step, we can add some nice little real moss effects and things. And I'll do the same to the cliff. So we'll paint everything up, put it together, and then see where we can add some moss. Little trees. I was even going to get some miniature horses, if I can find some little horses to put on to, you know, represent Frau Blucher. So we always have the horses ready, at the ready. So a couple green rocks there, because we do have moss kind of coming in out of that wood. Kind of looks like you guys are into the wood. Put a couple more green situations here. Just kind of dry brush some green. And then we're going to dry brush over this entire castle a nice bone. And that should really just kind of tie all these colors together. Some moss kind of growing up there. And so we got some mosses going here. And where else do we need moss? We need moss on top of here. Woo! Too much moss. Too much moss. And then we're going to put some kind of in the corners. That's where it likes to grow. Down here, each of these are going to get their little rooftops too, so that's going to be nice. All right, a little bit of moss there. Oh, my foot slipped. A little bit of moss, some happy moss, and let's see, finally, a little bit of moss here. We'll do a couple kind of close to where the buildings intersect, kind of in these little crevices is where that moss likes to build up in those cool like European castles. So I'm just drawing line of moss all the way along the seam. Let me see if I hold it like that. This might be better for you guys. And David is telling he is a storm chaser and he sees the tornadoes up north. Yes, so that was very cool. One of the streams we had a couple storm chasers with the lightning detection one. I believe it was that stream. And that was pretty neat because I know nothing about storm chasing. If I see a tornado or a storm, I'm heading indoors. You know, I'm not doing any of that. But I do love the Twister movie. So anytime that's on, I'm always watching. And you guys have a lot more familiarity with lightning detectors and all kinds of detectors. I was happy to get mine working. But now that I do, I'm going to, you know, keep an eye on it. I think it'll be cool. And some of the things that I thought about adding later on, you know, just to keep this project moving forward, is to later add temperature sensors, barometric pressure to this project. And we can have different lighting schemes depending on how things are going, you know? So I thought that would be kind of a neat addition to this. But not right away. We'll get the lightning working. We'll get this thing hung on the wall. And then we can kind of add those features as we build other things. You know, after this is going to be our Jacob's ladder. After this faux cathedral window. So that's going to be a ton of fun. Because, man, I haven't built one of those in a long time. And I remember the last time I used a neon sign transformer. So this time I think I'm going to use a microwave transformer. They're a little bit easier to find and also less expensive. So I'm going to go that route instead. So I think I got everything, you know. I'm just doing the crab slide. You know, you gotta do like this, get on its level, get on the project's level, and see that everything is painted. All right, so it is. And now I'm going to, we're kind of ignoring all the wood components for now because that's going to be the absolute last thing that we do once everything is dry brushed and it's, you know, been inked and all of that. Then we go in with our wood because it's just going to keep getting painted over. So there's no sense in spending all this time, you know, making it all pretty. And then Robert McSween is asking, will there be any ivy climbing the walls? Ooh, that's actually a good idea, and I probably won't paint any on. I think what I'll do is make them out of you know, miniature foliage. You know, I'm sure we can find some at a store and do it that way. So it's more 3D. So we're not just like building up a whole bunch of paint. But I like that idea, definitely. All right, so what I'm going to do is just kind of clean this because I think we'll put our bone in here. And we have, I thought I saw Kareth. Yeah, Kareth is here. Well, hello to the artist, the great Gearhead Diva. Yeah, so finally we are doing some art. There was a lot of foam building there for a while. I think we dedicated 3 streams to it. I was like, that's enough. That's enough with the foam building. You know, let's get this castle done already, right? So I'm putting this, it's called unbleached titanium. So it's like titanium white, but not white. It's bleached. You'll see. It's like this bone color right here. So I'm going to take this off-white color and we're going to lightly dry brush the entire thing. Ooh, all right. That way the entire castle lightens up, and rather than seeing individual stones, it all just kind of like meshes together, I guess is what we're going for. And Joe is saying, I really like how that came out. Are you planning to have a river flowing around it? People, do you not want me to finish this? We got like thunder effects. We have ivies. We have a river now. The bad part is that I really like all your guys' idea, and I'm really thinking about doing them all. So keep them coming. And so for this, I'm trying to find a brush that's kind of big, but not small. And I know that like totally narrows it down for you guys. I get that. It's like, what is she talking about? So let's see here. That's too mushy. Like I need like a stiffer brush. Maybe something like this to just kind of we want to be able to cover a whole bunch of ground. So I think something like this will work. And let me water up this guy. And these are all very inexpensive, probably dollar store brushes, because you can use them if something happens where you need to walk away, you know, and you forget and you come back and your poor brush is already dry. You know, it's okay. It's a dollar store brush. All right. So with this bone, wrong brush, I'm going to for real dry brush. So I'm going to get me a new paper towel. And I'm going to just move this guy out of the way right there and put a new one in. Kind of make a pile here. That way I have a place to just kind of wipe things off. And here we go. And I'm going to wipe pretty much the majority of it off here on this paper towel off screen here. And collect yourself, because here we go. There is no chickening out now, people. I mean, this already looks good, but I think I can make it look better. All right. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. All right, I need more. I need more. I need more. That was too chicken. Too chicken. We can do it. We can do it. Not bad. Not bad. I think we need to go stronger. What do you guys think? Yeah. I think stronger is better. Ooh, fan brush, Robert was saying. Ooh, that's probably a good idea. I'm committed though. I'll come back to the fan brush. But yeah, that's probably a better idea. It's also Bob Ross's favorite, so we cannot not use a fan brush. Oh, that was a bit much. And I'm going to hold this guy here, very delicate. But this will lighten up the whole castle. See, look at the difference between that and Frankenstein's tower there. And when we put our ink wash over it, then all the colors are gonna really, really blend in and pop. I think I may even lighten it a tad bit more. I'm gonna go strong with that. And then hope that the ink wash will seep into all of the little imperfections within each stone that we created long ago and kind of bring them back out again. All right, so I'm going to move on. Oh, wow. Robert said the last time he saw something this great, it was Bob Ross. Well, I'll have you know, like I said during the Bob Ross stream, I tried to achieve something similar to his lesser known cousin, Ross Bob. You know, so Ross Bob was also a painter, but not as well known as Bob Ross. And of course I'm kidding. But listen, if you can achieve the level of somebody great's lesser known cousin, you're doing pretty well. All right, here I go on this. Ooh, that's bright. I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna own it. I meant to do that, people. I'm just gonna own that whole obliteration there that I did. But you can see that our different tonalities. See how here you can really see the individual stones, and here it's beginning to blend in a little bit more, and especially those greens. So that's what we're kind of going for. And I'm actually more overbrushing than anything else. I thought I was going to just do a little light dry brushing, but nope. And that is Castle Frankenstein's little window right there. And we're definitely going to put some kind of flame flickering LED. And then I think it was David who had the idea of also putting kind of a blue LED that pops to represent some of the Tesla coil experiments going on in the lab. So I think that's kind of a good addition, and make it kind of random, you know. So I'm going to see if I can come up with some. Ooh, that's a bit much right there. But let me see if I can just blend that. You know, it's not really well blended, but it'll work. And I hear all kinds of atrocities going on in the other room. But I can hear the other dog with her too, so I think it's the both of them running around. But that's looking good. And I'm going to do the same thing here. We're just going to very briefly go over the stones, so that way that light just catches all of the high parts of the stone. And of course, those are the parts that we painted with all those other variations of color. And yeah, you can definitely tell the top from the bottom. Let's kind of make them match up a little bit more here. Robert's saying use your finger. Yeah, it'll probably blend a little bit. Except the foam. The foam likes to suck up the paint. We were doing a bunch of that during our Bob Ross. I think it turned out to be more finger painting than anything else, because we were using acrylics versus Bob Ross uses oils, you know, so you can move that paint around a lot easier than you can acrylics. So for acrylics, you do have to water it down. And once we started to kind of water it down, we got a smoother effect. And there we go. And yeah, we can get rid of some of those paint brush marks with just kind of moving a little bit of the paint around with our fingers. So you had a good idea, Robert. I'm going to steal it or borrow it, and then I'll give it back to you when I'm done. And this is our poor little tower where I already lost a piece. It went flying, but that's okay. The tower is breaking on us in real time. So I'm just going to take a peek. Oh, there's definite areas we haven't done yet. Look at that difference. I'm like, oh yeah, we're pretty much done. No, we're not. All right. And then the final step in all this, which is the next step, I'm going to use Rob's idea. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. It blends it right away. So it's not so offensive. Look at Rob. He has like improved my painting 1,000% in 1 minute. All right, check that. I'm gonna move everything kind of closer to me so you guys can also check out what's going on. And our little mini towers. So we have one main roof here, cone roof, and then each of these like little guys, little cylinders here, are going to get their own roofs as well. Their own little cones, I guess I should say. All right. Oh, no, we still have a lot more. Look at me. I got like tunnel vision today. I don't know why. I see one portion of the project. I'm like, that looks good. We're done. I blame David Beck. He's got me thinking about Hungry Man meals. And I'm like, oh, fried chicken and mashed potatoes. My favorite Hungry Man. I don't even know if those are popular anymore. I haven't had a TV dinner in forever. People, the shame. The shame. I mean, come on. To not have a Hungry Man since like high school days or something, that's just unacceptable. I refuse to accept it. You guys hear the miniature pony situation? Yeah. It's like I have 2 miniature ponies in the house because I practically do. Cool. And then we just have this portion. Oh gosh, look at David Beck with his chicken drumsticks. His chicken drumsticks. And that is my favorite part of the chicken, is the leg and thigh. Dark meat. Oh yeah. Because we have chicken breasts all the time. You have it on your salad. You have it as part of a sandwich. You know, it's usually a chicken breast sandwich when you order one. So it's kind of nice to get the leg and the thigh, especially fried chicken leg and thigh. I'm gonna put in my vote that that's the best part of the chicken. Now, some of you will argue the white meat breast part, and but chicken wings. I am leaving out chicken wings, aren't I? Oh, that's a pretty good part too. That's another thing. I love making chicken wings. I have an air fryer. So that's like my Friday night go-to food is like Friday night is bar night, you know? And so I make chicken wings, potato skins. Oh, I'm getting hungry. I want a potato skin. All right. So for real this time, for real guys, I think we are finished with all of our brushing, overbrushing, underbrushing, you know, whatever it is we want to call it. So I think now it's just about, I can't stop touching it, right? I just want to lighten this guy up just a little bit more. And blend the colors. Whoop, a bit. So now this next part, we are going to do a black ink wash. And what that's going to do is bring back all those crevices that we kind of obliterated with all of our painting. And of course you see the surrounding crevices around the stone, but what you don't see is the actual detail inside each stone piece that we painstakingly put in there by rubbing our aluminum ball, which is this little ball right here. And when the stone was not painted, of course, you roll it on there and that gives you that really cool stone texture. And then you can go ahead and carve out your individual stones. So a lot of that stone texture that we added, well, kind of got obliterated, you know, by this overbrushing and stuff like that. But it's still there. And so our ink situation that we're gonna do in just a few moments, our ink wash theoretically should bring all that back. And then we can always do another coat like I'm doing right now if the ink wash then makes the castle just way too dark again. Because you can see when it dries dark. You know, it always dries a little darker, so sometimes you do have to put that extra coat. But let's move on to the ink wash, our final step in our castle, of course, not including these beams, which we may have to wait for another stream to allow the ink process to dry, you know, or else you're just kind of spreading a lot of water. And for this, I may actually paint it upright like this. So I might have to, for you guys to see, I might have to do a situation like that, but I'll figure it out. And Robert is saying the spicier the better. Getting back to, see, I can't even speak anymore because I'm already like thinking of like all the juicy chicken. So yes, the spicier the better with your fried chicken. And yes, I think Popeyes has a mild and a spicy, and I always like to get the bucket that's got both of them. It's like, oh, delicious. All right, so for our ink wash, the way we're gonna do this, let me pick kind of an area here that's dry, you know? I'm going to do mostly water, and I have some clean water here, not the water that I've been, you know, dipping my brush into. And I'm going to take just kind of a big brush, and I'm literally just using this brush to transfer the water onto here. Making like a little water pile. Filling up my little moat, right? So somebody wanted a river that goes through the castle or underneath the castle or something like that, but we could do a moat too. So Robert is saying no Popeyes on the East Coast. Unfortunately, KFC. Oh, where are you on the East Coast? I'm in the Northeast, and thankfully we do have Popeyes. And one of my favorite sides is the red beans and rice side. Super delicious. Of course, mashed potatoes. You have to have mashed potatoes, and some of their greens are really good too. But that's a shame. KFC is good too, but I'm quite partial to the Popeyes biscuit. So people can weigh in. I think that the Popeyes has a superior biscuit to KFC or any other fast food chicken place. Let's try and do apples to apples, All right, so I think to do I want kind of a bigger brush. And I know I've not been too forthcoming with my sizes. I want a brush that's big but not too big, but it can't be small either, and it can't be medium size. It's like, what the heck brush is that? All right, I'm gonna look for a black, which is this big giant tube right here, and I'm gonna put just a little bit. We just want to create, which one was I using? This one. We just want to create kind of like a wash. We don't want to, if we put it on and it feels like paint, it's too thick. Keep wetting it down. So something like this I think is perfect, and I'll show you guys the consistency here when get this thing mixed up. And let me push that up to you guys. See, it's like water. And this is gonna make a bit of a mess, but I don't really care about the workbench. It's made for that. I'm just gonna move this a little bit out of the way. Oh no, my wash, it has spilled. I think we still have enough though. So maybe I can do this. Watercolor consistency, yes. Robert has put it into much easier terms than me. I'm like, it says liquidy, but not too liquidy. Yes, watercolor consistency. And then Brian is saying, look for diorama supplies for models or foliage, like ivy. Yes. Now, the dollar store has, like, limited stuff, but you can cut it up to make a flock and things like that. But I saw in the other craft store, they have a few more things, and of course online. So I'm definitely going to hit up all that, and you can see what I'm doing here. Not at all. So let me back this up a little bit for you guys to see. And all I'm doing is taking my watercolor consistency black here and just brushing it and letting it fall. And the reason I'm kind of holding this upright is you want it to kind of mimic rain. And let me see if I can, you know what? We'll just do it this way. And I'll just stand a little bit. But I like to try and do this, a little more like it would be, the rain, and see how that's just like dripping. And that's exactly what we want. And that's going to bring back a lot of the stuff that we obliterated just by dry brushing. And we're going to use a similar technique. We're going to be painting pretty much all wet the cliffs. With this, you saw we pretty much didn't use any water. It was all just paint. And we went over brushing, dry brushing all of our colors. The cliff, we're going to use pretty much similar colors, but we're going to do it a little bit differently in that we're just going to build up a whole bunch of wet layers of different types of colors. So my hope for that is that both pieces are going to have a very similar color pattern, but because we painted them differently, they'll be different enough. You definitely want them to look like they belong, but it's kind of nice to see, okay, so the castle is more separated. It looks like this, but they look great together as well. And I might have to mix up some more of that ink wash. And I'm just going to hold it like that, and then we'll take a close-up. I'm just going to cheat and kind of do this for a second and see how this is looking. And then I'm going to ink wash over here, and let me add a little bit more water because it's getting too painty paint. There we go. It needs to be mostly water. And that's just going to dribble on down. I'm putting it on the whole thing. And you see that that starts to kind of unite all of the colors. And I wonder if it's safe to, because I remember that might have had some wet paint in there. So I'm just taking the top of it. And so the raised recesses, this watercolor type consistency ink wash is just going to dribble off, but it's going to hang out in all of the recesses. So not only the recesses of each individual stone that we carved out, but within that stone, all of the little rock dimples that we put with our foil. So you can see here, it's kind of looking a little bit better. And so this is going to look a little muddy for a while until it starts to dry up. And then when it dries up, that's when you start really seeing the different colors, and everything's going to be far more blended together. And you also see each of the rock details, which is very, very cool. I'm going to go in here. And it's nice to use a large brush because you can just like bleh it all over the place. Let's see if I can stretch this ink wash. It's been kind of the theme of the evening, is like, how far can we stretch this stuff? And I'm thinking, whoa, come back here, Castle. I'm thinking pretty far. I'm just cheating a little bit. And this guy's a little bit tough to do while facing you guys, but I think I got all, oh no, I didn't. Here I go again. I didn't get this top guy, I don't think. I don't recall getting him, so he's gotten now. All right, so let me see if I can give you guys a much better view here of him. The colors, I think, are way more blended. You get kind of hints of the yellow ochre, the oxides we've been putting in, or I guess burnt sienna. We didn't use any oxides, and some of that moss color just a little bit. And that ink wash started to eat into the corners. You can see each individual rock, some of the little porosity that it has. So basically, I'm going to try and find a way to sit it up like this and allow it to dry. And what's going to happen is all the ink wash in the raised areas are just kind of, they're just going to drain down and pool at the bottom. And that's going to leave our raised edges back with the colors that we painted. Then if the ink wash makes the castle look a little too dark, we can always dry brush another layer of that bone, which is the unbleached titanium. And I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the description of this video and also the highlights video that we create for each of our streams, except the Wrench Army exclusives. Those are secret, you know, they never make it out to the public. So you'll see it in the highlights video too. After we build stuff, I'm like, okay, now I know what we used, you know, rather than putting the list ahead of time, and then we don't end up using a lot of it anyways because we just go on the fly. So Robert McSween is saying a small paper mache dragon breathing fire would be sweet. Guys, can I finish this project this century? The problem is that all these ideas are like really good ideas, so I kind of want to do it. And David is saying KFC, Popeyes, yes, please. He'll have both. Listen, I will have both at this point. They're both really good. So I think I'm going to let this guy kind of, you know, settle down and find a way to prop him up. And when he dries, we'll be back. Ooh, guys, don't breathe on it. Everybody, hold your breath. Do not breathe on it. So I'm going to let this dry, and then for our next stream, I'll have this one already complete. The only thing that you'll see different is that it'll actually have a roof on it, you know, and then I'll individually paint the little tiles black with some brown. And also I'll take care of these beams. It sounds like you guys chose wood, so I'm going to go with a wood look for all of this. David Beck, it looks like he's echoing the dragons. He's got a whole bunch of dragon emojis. So you guys are like, you will forever be stuck in this time warp with the never-ending cathedral window project. It'll just never end, and it's gonna start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, take over the wall behind me, and begin taking over the rest of the wall to be like the most giant cathedral window with dragons that come out, griffins, heck, we might as well add that too, and then a Frankenstein that pops out of the wall like the Kool-Aid man. So that'll be the entire cathedral window. And I'm gonna, because I'm giving you guys ideas and then you'll actually want me to do it. So those of you that are members, definitely remember to hop on Discord. I'll make a quick video depending on how you signed up on how to do it all, so we can discuss the future of these projects, what direction you want us to go, and heck, any other future project ideas that you have that you're like, man, I've always wanted to build this. And darned if we're gonna try. Yes, we will. A queen dollar store chick here will figure out a way to do it. So definitely post those up, post them up on social media. And thank you so much for joining. Definitely check out the Wrench Army if you want to see additional streams, tutorials, and to get on Discord so we can continue the discussion. So have a great night. Thanks again for joining me for a painting and a puppy sitting type of stream. Yes, it's been interesting. And until the next time, check the schedule. I'm going to be updating it shortly with future streams for this week, next week, and the rest of the month. Bye, guys!